Hi submarine friends, welcome back to watching me build my diesel electric submarine. You're probably wondering, well, why isn't it in the test pool? Last time it was in the test pool. So the reason is it's so rainy and muddy. We're having like crazy flooding and everything around here. So all I'm doing is dragging mud into the submarine. The deck is all covered with mud. It's just gross. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I just pop it out of the lake, out of the pool with the crane, put it back in the shop, and just keep dealing with some stuff. So one thing that happened when I pulled it out, I bumped into one of my electric thruster guards, so I have to fix that unfortunately. But it's not a big deal either. It's not really super damaged. So the other thing that I really need is the ballast weight. I just don't want to hand bomb, 600 pounds of weights into the front of the submarine and stack it on the floor, and it's just going to damage stuff. It's just a crappy job. So I've got these big steel plates. They're cutting edges on a loader bucket. I picked up a few of them at the dump. I actually had to load up my Bobcat and drive down to the dump to pick them up, but it was well worth it because 250 pounds of free weight is excellent. So I'm putting one on each side, so that gives me 500 pounds of weight, and it's pretty easy to put 100 pounds of weight in the sub, plus I can move that weight around. I have some lead weights and a big steel shaft. It's like this long, but like 4 or 5 inches in diameter, weighs a ton. So those 3 weights are like 150 pounds, so that's okay. So I'm just going to weld some angle to the bottom of the keel so it goes down and then out, and then those will just rest on that lip, and then I'm going to just put something here to lock them in so that I can move them back and forth. I'm not going to, totally mount them secure because I want to be able to adjust them if I have to. I'm pretty sure where they are is good. I hate the look of it though. I really don't like it. But, originally I wanted to stand them up like this so that they would act like keels so the sub doesn't rock. I don't think it rocks much anyways. It's pretty darn stable, but every bit helps. The only thing I don't like about that is that steel is not reliable to weld onto. So I have used grater blades. I welded them onto a bucket on my excavator, and it's been holding. And that's on a bucket of an excavator, so it takes a ton of abuse, and it still holds. But I just can't trust it because imagine driving down the highway with this thing at, 60 miles an hour, and one of these things breaks off and falls off and goes on the road. That could kill somebody. Plus, I don't want it tearing away at the hull. I would have to weld a pad to the hull and then weld these to that pad. So it starts to become a pretty, I'm just not getting that warm, fuzzy feeling with this whole idea. Only because of mounting it. And I can't risk putting so let's say I weld it here and it's pointing down. I can't have a brace going from the bottom back to the hull to support it. And the reason is, if I'm cruising on the bottom of the lake and there's always sunken logs, trees, branches, stuff like that, you could be cruising along and the end of a tree could poke into that void, and if there's a brace going back, you can't surface unless you can lift that obstacle. And you might not see it, you can't back out of the way because you can't see what's going on. So it's just too risky for entanglement. So I don't like that. If I did that, they would have to be just a cutting edge coming down, unsupported, unbraced. So what I'm going to do in the front here and in the back, I'm just going to put some expanded metal so that nothing can go in, but the water can still flow through, so I don't have a lot of drag. So I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of drag from the mesh to avoid something going in there. It actually doesn't look as bad as I thought it would. Now what would be really nice is if I ended up needing another one behind it, because then it would be full length and it would just look like it was normally supposed to be there. I guess what I could do, I could put some 16 gauge on the end of that to the back, and oh, that's a good idea. And then it would just be a clean line. And I could even, if I wanted to, put a 16 gauge metal tapered front. Oh, I'm really starting to like this idea. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, I'll get that on there on both sides. It's a bit of a grunt. Luckily, I have my Bobcat home and I could pick him up and throw him on the trailer. And I put him on a pipe and then I just roll him into place. Okay, so that's what I'm going to work on. I'm going to get those mounted. And then the other thing, I had a little tiny leak in the back of the submarine. And it turns out that it was the electric penetrator was threaded in, and I made that crowfoot wrench to tighten it, and it was thread taped in the whole bit. But it turns out the threads are damaged from welding the bushing in. So what I did is I took it out, I took a torch and I heated up the bushing to make sure it's totally dry. And then I cleaned up the electric penetrator with lacquer thinners and paper towels. And I put a whole bunch of JB weld on. So it's not thread taped anymore, it's permanently JB welded in. I don't care. I mean, JB weld is really good. I love JB weld. I use it all the time. Now you think, well, that makes it permanent, but it really doesn't, because to get rid of JB weld, all you have to do is take a torch and heat up that bushing, and the JB weld just falls apart. It's the same with epoxy. If you have to get rid of epoxy in a void, just heat it up. It just crumbles. So that's fixed now. So I shouldn't have any more water weeping in. I mean, it was really just a teeny little leak, but you can't have a leak, period. I mean, when you get deeper, obviously that becomes a pressure leak. So that's fixed. And you know, if I would have pulled a vacuum on this with a compressor, using a compressor for suction, I would never have found that leak. It was such a small leak. Like, how would you find it? You'd have to set up a camera inside, soapy water on everything, and then test every penetration and videotape it, because you don't want to be inside with such a high vacuum. I don't know if you can handle that or not. I sure wouldn't try it. So anyways, that's taken care of. I'm going to paint the metal ring for my hatch. It hasn't been painted yet, and now it's a bit rusty. So that's actually good, because back in Holland, they actually let steel boats rust on purpose, then sandblast and paint. So this has got some rust on it now, so I'm just going to clean that rust off with lacquer thinners and a rag, pull the O-ring out, and paint it. And then it'll be good. I should have done it before, but what can I tell you? So anyways, that's something I'll do. It's supposed to rain all this week, so hopefully I have enough patience. Like, it's so mucky out there, I can't even back the crane up to move it over. It just spins in the mud. It's terrible. It's because I dug the hole and I got this clay everywhere. So anyways, that's what I'm going to work on. I'm going to get these two steel plates mounted. I should be able to do that today, if not today and tomorrow. And then I'll probably just work on the outside of the hull, grinding off some welds and stuff, getting it ready for the proper paint job. Yeah, that's what I'll do. And the other thing is, I I don't really like my white deck. It's just too white. So I think I'm going to put the plywood back on. I'm such a bonehead. I just don't like the white. It's too bright. And one thing I know when you're driving a submarine on the surface, you don't want all that brightness. So I could change it from not being white plastic mesh, but you can only get it in brown, white, and black. And I don't know if I like the brown. So anyways, I'll put the wood back on and just leave it wood. I don't care if it goes bad this summer. Who cares? Gives me time to think about what to put on there. Anyways, that's what I'm up to. Ciao.